Los Angeles, 1947. The City of Angels was still glowing from the golden age of Hollywood when a nightmare unfolded under its sunlit sky. A young woman named Elizabeth Short, pale-skinned, black-haired, and full of dreams, was found lying in a vacant lot. But she wasn't sleeping. Her body had been carefully positioned, severed in half at the waist, drained entirely of blood. Her face was carved into a haunting, almost theatrical smile, the kind that belonged in a horror film, not real life. They called her the Black Dahlia. Elizabeth had come to Hollywood to chase fame, but she became immortalized in infamy instead. Detectives swarmed the scene, horrified by the precision of the cuts, surgical, deliberate, almost clinical. Whoever had done it knew what they were doing. Over the following weeks, more than 150 suspects were questioned: doctors, actors, ex-lovers, even one who confessed, only to be cleared later. The killer taunted police with letters, mocking their failures, signing with bizarre symbols and hints. Yet, no one was ever caught. Some believed it was a jealous lover. Others whispered that it was a Hollywood doctor, obsessed with beauty and perfection. Decades passed. Evidence decayed. Witnesses died. But the story of the Black Dahlia never faded. Her image, that eerie, perfect smile, became one of the most chilling symbols of Los Angeles's dark underbelly. Even now, nearly 80 years later, her ghost seems to linger in the city's smog, a reminder that some dreams don't just die in Hollywood, they're butchered, buried, and turned into legends. Villisca, Iowa, June 10, 1912. A quiet town where everyone knew everyone, until one morning when no one answered the Moore family's door. Inside their small white house, 8 people lay dead: Josiah and Sarah Moore, their 4 children, and 2 young guests who had spent the night after church. The weapon, an axe, belonging to Josiah himself. The killer had used its blunt end first, crushing skulls, then turned it over to finish his work. But what chilled investigators most wasn't the brutality, it was the silence, the strange order left behind. Every mirror in the house had been covered, every window shrouded with cloth. Food sat untouched on the kitchen table, as if someone had meant to eat, but changed their mind. In the children's rooms, the blankets were neatly pulled up over the faces of the victims, like someone tucking them in for eternal sleep. Neighbors said they heard nothing. No screams, no breaking glass, only the faint sound of a train passing through the night. Police believed the killer had been hiding in the attic, waiting for the family to drift into dreams before descending with cold purpose. Over the years, suspects came and went: a traveling minister, a jealous lover, a drifter, even a state senator. All were questioned, none were convicted. Today, the Moore house still stands, restored exactly as it was that night. Tourists and ghost hunters flock to it, claiming to hear whispers, footsteps, and the distant sound of an axe being dragged across the floorboards. But truth be told, it doesn't take a ghost to make that house terrifying. Because somewhere, over 100 years ago, someone walked away from Villisca covered in blood and was never found. It was March 1922, in the remote Bavarian countryside. The Gruber family lived on an isolated farmstead called Hinterkaifeck, 6 people in total: Andreas, his wife Cecilia, their daughter Victoria, her 2 children, and the maid, Maria. Life there was quiet, lonely, until strange things began to happen. Andreas Gruber told neighbors he'd found footprints in the snow leading to the house, but none going back. He heard footsteps in the attic at night, tools disappearing, and a newspaper no one remembered buying appeared on the porch. The family was uneasy, but they stayed. Days later, their lives were over. When neighbors noticed the family hadn't been seen in days, they went to check. What they found inside was pure horror. In the barn, 4 bodies were stacked on top of one another, covered with hay. Inside the house, the maid and young Kazelia Jr. were found dead in their beds. The family had been slaughtered with a mattock, a farming tool. But the most chilling part? The killer had stayed. For days after the murders, smoke rose from the chimney. The cattle had been fed. Meals had been eaten. Someone had made themselves at home among the dead. Investigators combed the area, questioning everyone: former workers, jealous lovers, vagrants, even Victoria's rumored affair partner. They followed dozens of leads, but none made sense. Every suspect either died, disappeared, or had airtight alibis. The farm was eventually torn down, the ground beneath it disturbed by those still searching for answers. But the questions lingered. Who was living in the attic? Why did they wait? And what did they want with the Gruber family? Over a century later, the snow of Hinterkaifeck still covers secrets no one can explain, and somewhere in those white fields, the echo of footsteps still lingers. Northern California, late 1960s. The world was shifting. Peace movements, protests, love in the air. But under that golden California sun, a shadow moved. A man who hunted strangers for sport and signed his name with a crosshair. He called himself the Zodiac. His first known victims were a young couple, shot inside their car on a quiet lover's lane. Then another pair, stabbed at a lake in broad daylight. He phoned the police himself afterward, calm, emotionless, claiming credit. Soon after, the letters began. Cryptic messages cut from newspapers, taunting detectives, signed with his eerie symbol. "This is the Zodiac speaking," one began. Each letter came with codes, puzzles promising his identity if anyone could solve them. One cipher, cracked decades later, read, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber." He was a man obsessed with control, not just of his victims, but of the city's fear itself. The Zodiac didn't just kill, he performed. He wanted headlines, panic, immortality. He targeted couples, threatened school buses, even mailed bloody scraps of clothing from his victims to prove his claims were real. Hundreds of suspects were investigated, including teachers, writers, and ex-military men, but every lead dissolved. The handwriting never matched. The fingerprints were smudged. The face seen by survivors never quite fit anyone. He seemed to vanish between his own words. Years passed. The killings stopped. But the letters didn't. They aged, grew stranger, colder. To this day, the Zodiac Killer remains a ghost wrapped in riddles, a man who once turned California into a chessboard, moving pieces of flesh and fear. He's never been caught. And perhaps that was always his plan, to live forever through the mystery he created. Philadelphia, 1957. Along a quiet, lonely road, a cardboard box hid a terrible secret. Inside lay the body of a young boy, no older than 4, naked, bruised, small hands pruned, wrapped in a tattered blanket. For days, he remained nameless, unidentified. Police plastered his image across newspapers and posters, dubbing him America's unknown child. Thousands of leads poured in, each ending in dead ends. Was he kidnapped? Abandoned? Forgotten by the world? No one knew. The box he was found in had once contained a baby bassinet, hinting at a life cruelly cut short. Generations grew up with his image, haunted by the mystery. And finally, in 2022, DNA revealed his name, Joseph Augustus Zarelli, yet his story remains incomplete. His killer was never found, the reason for his suffering unknown. The boy is no longer nameless, but the echoes of his silence linger, a chilling reminder that some crimes leave wounds time cannot heal, and some mysteries refuse to die.